Guys, James here from Coast CrossFit. This video is to talk to you about what you need in your CrossFit kit. So many questions when people first start. What do they need? What ropes do they get? What lifters do they get? So hopefully this video helps someone starting out with CrossFit, or any of our members also. The first thing I'm going to pull out of my kit is my lifters. So you always want to keep your lifters in your CrossFit bag because you never know what's going to pop up. So this is the Romalio Nike lifter. So when I started out, I tried lots of different lifters. Some were a combination of a Metcon and an Olympic lifter. In the end, I decided to go with strictly an Olympic lifting shoe, and I found Nike specialized in that. Generally speaking, with this, what you get out is a bit more support around the foot. And I feel like it's a bit heavier, so it suits Olympic lifting. I definitely don't use these for any of my Metcons, and I tend to just squat in them only, squat an Olympic lift. So there's a little bit of information about the Romalio, and you always want to keep them in your CrossFit kit with you. What do we have next? So over the years, I've tried lots of different grips, not to name any in particular, but the grips I've tend to favor most is the Victory grip, and I know Victory grip are making a lot of different grips these days. I'm still yet to try the one with the rubber inside. I can't wait to get my hands on a pair of them, but I try to go with a 3 or 4 finger grip so that I get maximum protection across the palm. That's really, really important. I found that these go to the wrist really nicely, and it's got a really nice thick leather that, these have lasted me 2 to 3 years, and I think off the top of my head they're about $70. So these are a Victory grip, 3 finger, and I also run a 4 finger grip too. I actually lost those. They're my favorite ones, the 4 finger ones. With those, equally as important is get yourself some sweat bands. I actually got these are Reband. I think Fiona McCready, you left these at the gym, and I end up pinching them, taking a fancy. So these are nice. These actually sit on the wrist, and then the strap goes over this just for some extra comfort. And also in some of the Metcons, stopping the sweat from the arm dripping down into the grip is just as important for grip purposes as these are. So this is a little combination that you should get your hands on. What do we got next? We've got our other lifter. Let's talk about ropes. So I've always used the RX rope. Just quickly, I always carry a spare cable so that I don't have to wait to get my hands on another cable. It's just there so that if it breaks, which they do break, and you're never prepared for it, it is there. So always buy your ropes with a spare cable. I always like to look after my, when I pull it out, it's going to say otherwise, but I always like to wrap it up correctly and pop it back in its case. A few years ago, one of my puppies got to mine, but it has lasted. So it's lasted a dog chewing it and all the double unders that it's exposed to. So I found these. They're made for double unders. Don't know how good the bearings are in these, it's pretty old, but they have a bearing at the end of the rope, and it just helps the rope keep its evolution, so it's not going to tangle up or anything like that. So specifically made for doing double unders. If you've ever found that you find double unders are really hard, the first thing you want to check out is the rope that you're using. So this is an RX Smart rope, and when you go on their website, they actually size you up, and you can choose the thickness of your cable, which is totally related to your ability of double unders. I don't usually use this, and I don't actually know its brand, but I know a lot of people in the gym, there we go, RPM, are using these RPMs. I tried these, I tried this a couple of months ago. I actually found it really difficult. I find it's nearly too light. You can't feel the weight of the handle or the weight of the cable. So I'd nearly say that this rope here is for a very advanced or an elite person for double undering. So yeah, I found that if you're a beginner and you're trying to double under with one of these, I would take a step back a bit and maybe save this for later in your journey. What else do we have? Let's talk about thumb tape. So thumb tape, I personally just use the Elastitape that the physios use. You can get it from a lot of the chemists, and it comes in lots of fancy colors, so that's pretty cool. So someone taught me this actually, but the best way to use this, I find, you guys give it a go and let me know what you think, is I cut 4 squares off. I've got small thumbs, but 4 squares, and I actually cut that off so it's a rectangle. And then from there, I cut the corners, so I round the corners off. And I try to roll the tape around the thumb so that it's not going to pull itself undone when I hook grip the bar. So just think about that as you're applying it, so that when you hook grip, it actually doesn't peel the tape off. And another little trick is that with this tape in particular, if once you've taped your thumbs, you can rub your thumbs over the joint or the lap of the tape line, and it melts the glue. If you heat the glue up, it melts the glue and it won't peel up as easy as it normally does. So this is more for someone who's weightlifting a little bit more than usual. If you're looking to save your thumbs, there's nothing worse than having skin missing on your thumb. You definitely won't be able to weightlift as regularly if that happens. So handy bit of stuff to have in your kits. A mobilized ball. So this is just a random one. I know that you don't have to spend too much money on these. In fact, you can just use an old tennis ball, a golf ball, anything lying around the home, but it's just handy to have. I know that a lot of coaches will recommend mobility and before class, after class, getting in those tighter areas under the armpits, around the back of the shoulders and the glutes and stuff like that. So it is handy to have because you never know when you might need it, and it saves you having to go down the street and buy it. And for those people getting here early, you should be getting this out and working your glutes and your shoulder mobility. Let's talk about next bit of gear. So got some knee sleeves. So here we go. I personally I don't use these very regularly. I would use them if I was weightlifting and squatting more. So it's just knee care, just showing your knees that you care about them and taking the extra, making the extra mile to look after them. So bit of information about knee sleeves. I believe they come in a 5mm and a 7mm. I would use the 5mm one, which is the thinner knee sleeves for more of your metcons and your air squat workouts. It's there, but it's not sort of a hindrance, or it's not going to restrict the squat too much. And then you've got your 7mm knee sleeve. So there you go, it says on the back. So this is where I would use it on a heavy squat session. So it's definitely going to feel a lot tighter around the knee, and it's going to help out of that bottom range of motion in your squat as well. So that's a little bit information about knee sleeves. Not needed, but also just another handy tool to have in your kit for maybe when you come across a big session of squats and your knees are feeling a little bit worse for wear. What else have we got? Let's go some straps. So more of a weightlifting tool as well. So any old straps do the trick. I know that there's a couple of different ones out there, but this connects to the top of the wrist, wraps around the barbell, and helps you not have to hold so much weight in the hand. So the weight connects to the shoulders and helps with Olympic lifting technique. And also just a useful tool for someone who's feeling a little bit beat up around the grip that week, maybe lacking a bit of grip strength, and just another tool. So you won't usually use these in workouts or in a general CrossFit class, but may be a useful tool if you're doing some solid weightlifting sessions. Finally, the old faithful cotton wraps. So these are a great tool. I tend not to use them too much, but I definitely leaned into these when I first started. So they're just a cotton wrist strap. You can get them from the Wildlife. I think they do them cheapest these days. What these actually do is they're just a little bit of compression support for the wrist for when we're holding front racks or doing strict press and bench press, for anyone that has wrist aggravations. But the catch to these is that it will restrict your wrist mobility, okay? So a lot of our burpees, handstand push-ups, front squats require a certain amount of wrist flexibility, where I find that this actually restricts the wrist flexibility. But anyway, this is how they go. So I actually do them up quite loosely. So we're just gonna wrap around the wrist, and we just do an easy knot, because the last thing you wanna have to do when you bug it after a workout is work out what type of knot you did. So a nice, easy, I just done a loop knot then. And what we do there is we can actually add pressure by squeezing and tightening. And now there's a fair amount of pressure on that. I might do my set, and then we can actually loosen that off. So a handy tool to have. Also just something that you might want to get out one day. You don't have to use all the time. The last bit of equipment that I don't actually have in my kit at the moment. It's upstairs, but is a belt. So this is personal information, or my opinion on the belt, but I actually got this information from a lot of great trainers that I look out for. Is that save your belts for what we call go time. So like, you know, your 1RM days, pull your belts out. Your testing days, pull your belts out. But you want to keep your belt away. You want to lean into your coach's information around how to brace and squat with correct technique. I find that putting a belt on for say 5 sets of 5 strict press or deadlift or back squat just gives you a false sense of security around what your core is doing, and it sort of feels like you're tight, but you're not having to create your own tension. So belts are there. So I tend to just use a fabric belt with a nice little buckle, something that's easy to take off. But there are some leather ones out there that do up with like a double belt buckle. I find them a little bit too much, a bit harder to get in and out of, but something that's just nice and quick. But like I said, our gym, what we push around the belts is use them for testing days or go time 1RMs rather than getting them out at every session. Anyway, I hope this video helped. It was a little bit longer than I thought it would be. There's lots of equipment in there, lots of gear in there. But if there's anything that I missed or anything that you want me to talk more in particular about, put it in the comments and I'd be more than happy. Cheers guys.